Well, certainly this is the spark that was needed in our government, but also for industry. And really what it's doing right now is catalyzing everybody to see the possibilities that we couldn't really see for the last several years. And I think the first kind of steps out of the gate right now is really in the executive order. It calls out approximately 26 medicines that they've prioritized, that they've directed John Knox's office to come up with this list. I know for a fact that back in May, so this is just to let you know, a little bit of your audience know, they were taking the initiative on this, and they've already asked a request for information to industry back in May of what 26 or 27 medicines could be produced domestically for not only APIs, precursor ingredients, but also those that can make these finished dosage forms for these essential medicines back in May. So that kind of teed up the industry already to kind of keep this in mind. Really, the next step after that is really what John was talking about, is the difference we have in the United States is innovation and technology. And that's taking some of these products that we're really solely reliant on legacy, dirty chemical processes that are done in India and China and quite frankly, all over the world, and leaping ahead in advanced manufacturing technologies where we can make these drugs more efficiently using automation, computers, and also using less solvents and things that are toxic that sometimes get into the drugs when they're not purified correctly. And that's why we have some of the variabilities in quality coming out of some of those countries. And so by harnessing some of the technologies that John Knox's team is doing with some of these industry companies, we can basically leap ahead and embrace that technology to do something uniquely American, which is making these drugs the highest quality, make it consistently and at scale for a much cheaper price point at the end. But the government has a role in here to help shape the incentives and the framework for industry to go after that. And they need to have that message for a good 5 to 10 years so that industry is willing to invest in the technology we need, forging this ahead.
That's the key. You got to have regulatory and economic certainty for a plan like this to take fully form. And so those guardrails, I assume, are being built now. I've seen some and heard about some technology. I wonder, you probably know about it because you're on the horizon of this extraordinary movement. We used to make large nuclear power plants. Now we have smaller reactors that are just as powerful. Are we able to kind of create like sort of mini factories quicker that can put some of the more basic ingredients together and make drugs without having to roll out a massive plant?
Yes, I mean, there's some technologies, and as your previous guest mentioned, he mentioned like on-demand manufacturing capabilities. Some of those are small scale. Think of like 3D printers for essential medicines that can be built in a facility that's size of a small room, right? So you don't have to invest in $300 million GMP plants that have, a huge capital expense tail. Now, those aren't going to necessarily replace the large factories that we need for the big volume medicines, but they give us a new strategic capability to make drugs as you need them and then deploy them precisely in the areas you need them, even down to the hospitals or healthcare systems. And let's say the rural areas that struggle to get access to certain key medicines when there are shortages or there's a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah, it gives us a running start. It's so amazing to just think that that innovation is sitting right here in America and ready to be acted on in the next few months. All right, so the ball got rolling with President Trump. Obviously, John Knox is clearly working this day and night. You can see the progress already made. What role can a Congress play in making sure that this gets to the next level and the next level and the next level so that we're advancing towards that 10-year capability of getting back to a full manufacturing machinery?
Yeah, certainly Congress has a huge role into really sending the demand signal for the next decade. And really it's beyond just the SAPR facility or the SAPR idea. That's just the start of it. The executive order even calls out a secondary SAPR facility because not just one can do enough to create this pharmaceutical independence for the United States. I think the next kind of level is identifying those American companies that can embrace this new innovation, dynamic companies that are willing to make all these medicines completely in the United States. And I think investing in them and making sure that they have a position where they can be awarded long-term contracts so that they and their investors and their business plans can actually mesh with a national policy to make these drugs here in America. And I think that's kind of where Congress has to send a signal, is that they need to have a message to industry saying, look, if we're going to take this seriously and really boost this industrial base for pharmaceuticals, we need to give you at least a 10-year commitment to doing this.